Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and today I am going to be sitting down and having a nice, it ended up being a lengthy conversation with Litto Gomez Jr. of Flor Dominicana. We fire up a couple of LFD Solises and sit back and talk all about LFD, the company, various products of theirs, how, he got involved, and a whole lot more. So, you have that to look forward to. And to be honest, I'm just going to jump right into it because, I smoked with him. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into the interview. So I'll see you on the other side of that. And I am joined now by Litto Gomez Jr. of Flor Dominicana. How you doing, Litto?
How's it going, guys? I just want to say, first and foremost, Nick, thank you for having me. We've been working on this for quite a bit. And thank you to everybody in the audience. I'm extremely happy to be here, talk about a little bit of my story, the company's story. Just present myself to you guys. If you don't like me, great. If you love me, even better. So let's see how it goes, right?
We're going to have a good time. And so today, what I'm going to be smoking is a cigar that I think you might be able to educate me a little bit on, and that is the LFD Solis.
There we go.
So
there we go.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about this cigar real quick?
100%. So this cigar, the Solis is the pride and joy in my life. All I have to my name. I'm kidding. But yeah, so the whole origin behind the Solis was just kind of this lifelong dream and almost persistent need to want to blend a cigar. Right. So obviously growing up in the family that I grew up in, it was something that was always around. And I never, the only feeling that I can remember towards the work that we do and the cigars that we make is just pure love. And there's always a little bit of curiosity. So throughout the years, I'm going to blur out the age because I have FDA coming after us. So when I was very young, I would always just badger my father, want to blend a cigar. He's like, dude, you don't even smoke yet. like, what do you mean you're going to blend a cigar? And yeah, so as we kind of go through it, as I began smoking at whatever age I began smoking, I'm going to leave that blank. Slowly my palate began waking up, and I felt by the time I was like 18, almost 18, I felt that I was at, obviously by no means that I think I'm a massive blender still to this day. But there's a lot more people that know a lot more about the nuances, and their palate's a lot more awakened than mine. And I know that. But at the point, I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready for this. And I went to my father. And at the time, I had actually, over the past year of everything we smoked, I had written down 3 or 4 test blends. And at the time, I was a huge fanatic of Cubra and Atafina, grown in Brazil. And I really enjoyed the depth that Brazilian wrapper in general has to offer. So most of them have Brazilian wrapper and whatever. So I present my dad, he's like, yes. You know what? Yeah, I think you're ready. Let's give it a shot. So then I go spewing. Okay, blend number 1, blah, 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 blend number 2, going down the list. And he looks at me, he's like, all right, shut the fuck up. Sit here, I'll be back in 5 minutes. I say, okay, cool. And I, like, every time my father does that, I never really know what to expect. I should, but I never know what to expect. So 5 minutes later, I saw him walk into the rolling room. He comes back, grabs his eye, let's go. So in a rolling room, and Nick, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but way back in the day, it was actually a nightclub.
Okay.
Prior to us, it was a nightclub. So the rolling room in the middle, there's actually a dance floor. And it's like a foot up, and it's round, and we have a giant, like, it's got to be at least like 12 by 8 table right in the middle. And I'm walking
Yeah.
to this table, and it's an orange table. The table is actually like brown. So then we get closer, and my father, he laid out and, and labeled, of course, a patuche of every leaf we had in the factory. So I'm
Okay.
standing over and I'm like, there's no way he's going to do this. And he looks at me, he's like, yeah, oh yeah, smoke them all one by one. Tell me what you like. And yeah, go from there. Nick, there were like 400 fucking patuches lined up in front of me. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. So whatever. And one by one, I went choosing the filler, then the binder, then of course the wrapper. And it was a long process. And all jokes aside, for a first go, I think I learned, and this is the funny part about life, right? I thought I would had a good knowledge. I learned more in that probably even just this was a 3 week process that I was there, just to get the initial like basis. And even the first week, my palate transformed more than the past 4 or 5 years of me smoking. And I learned so
Wow.
much more about the subtleties, the actual tobacco themselves, their origins, and not just what they taste, but what got the taste. Okay, they grow bananas 20 feet right to the next. There's a higher point of nitric oxide. And slowly dude, I was already in love with it. You know, I was already, this is the coolest thing in the world. That was a whole nother experience. Yes, I puked probably 4 times every hour. May I say every hour? But it was an incredible experience, and the cool part about it too is the blend that I ended up with was on the other side of the world of what I thought I wanted, like
Yeah.
just completely out of left field. So what we were left with was this beautiful Habano seed, sun-grown Ecuadorian wrapper grown by the ASP farm. And the binders in Ecuador and Sumatra. If you know our product, you know that's a leaf that we absolutely love and we use as much as we can. It really embodies, that's where we get a lot of our full body, um, or full body qualities from. And then inside there's some Criollo, Piloto that we grow all in our farm, Habano 206, that we grow out of our farm in La Canela. So
Okay.
the cigar itself, if I have to put it into compared to the rest of the LFD, it's out of left field.
Okay.
It's more of a medium, right? If you line it up to everything we make, it's more of a medium. But for me, I wanted this to be an expression of myself, right? And I've never liked overly strong cigars. Even to this day, I don't smoke like a 700 Maduro or a
I was gonna say,
Negro.
because let's be real, LFD is pretty much
Yeah, no,
known.
it is.
You
It
guys are
is.
known for your very strong cigars.
I mean, we changed the entire narrative of the American public. You know, like I'm very well aware that
Yeah.
for us, you know, like not and the best part, Nick, is when I'm smoking cigars from our companies, they tell me, I'm not gonna say a company, but they tell me, yeah, it's a full body. I'm smoking it. I'm like, dude, this is like air to me. You
it's like
know,
it's like you have to
like
understand
what?
what
Am
I
I
smoke on the
smoking?
daily. It's like
Yeah.
this is
That's what
exactly.
so that's what I tell people. Like for me, a medium is everybody else's medium plus. So I always say that. But in this cigar, it's full bodied in the sense of flavor. So
Okay.
you'll go through the whole cigar. I don't know if you smoked it before. If you have, I
I have
hope you
not.
enjoyed it. If not,
This is my first
this is
time.
even better. So we'll be able to go through it as this podcast go and talk about it. But it's very flavor forward in my eyes. Look, you and I have had this conversation. I am not a firm believer in all the tasting notes, right? I
That's
understand it's
fair.
a beautiful
That's
thing
fair.
and it's a great thing. However, but for all the viewers listening, in my perspective, you know, I've been blessed in my life where I've grown around a lot of figureheads in the industry. And there was a commonality in all of them. It's either a good cigar or it's a bad cigar. Do not try to
Well,
tell me this tastes like leather because I've never chewed a leather belt before, or
okay.
not recently enough. But if so,
There
back to
was
the
that
point.
one night, but we don't want to talk about
Yeah,
that. So,
exactly. We do not want to talk about that.
uh,
Maybe after working hours. But if I did have to identify some notes, I would say there's a lot of citrus in it. It's a little nutty. There's a nice sweetness to it, and then there's a couple puffs that tends to carry on through the cigar. Yes, some leather, whatever. A little earthy, but yeah. Overall, it's a very unique smoke for us, and this is an expression of who I am, the way I like to blend, and my experiences with cigars. So hopefully you guys could see my story through that.
All right, well, let's get this thing cut and lit. I want a cigar today. So the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, including the Solis, and fair prices and great customer service. I don't know what else you could possibly want. So please go to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, it's time we go ahead and cut. Oh, I hit the microphone.
Nice.
Cut the cigar.
Nice. Normally, that's beautiful.
You gotta have the disc. Oh my, Zoom has been so weird. So like, I don't know. It's like, so I'm on my iPad and it has this feature. It's like a dynamic camera. So it almost looks like I have a cameraman. So like when I do like this, like, did it do it? No, but see,
I feel like I'm in
no, it's weird.
Documentary right now. It's awesome.
It's so weird because it like the camera will adjust and move on its own, and I get thrown off by that every time. So anyway, we're gonna give this guy a cut and get this going. And cold draw. Okay? I know you're not a flavor note guy, but I'm just gonna say you do get a raisiny sweetness off of the cold draw.
Yep.
On this cigar.
Yep.
So fun. Well, give this guy a light here. And while I light the cigar, why don't you kind of go back? Let's do a little bit of history here. For those
history lesson, classes in session. Professor Litto Gomez. This is awesome. I love it. I've always wanted to be a teacher.
So
all right. So go shoot.
It's 30 years of LFD this year.
Yeah.
So let's
30
talk
years
about
of a crazy dream that who knows how, but we made it this far, and it's a beautiful thing.
And that's the thing. So go ahead. Let's hear a little bit about the company.
Yeah. So rather than just jump in and start the company, I think it's very important that people understand kind of where my family comes from. We are kind of, at least in my eyes, I think we're the perfect example of the American dream. So my father, he was born in Spain, hopped on a boat when he was 3 months old, traveled to Uruguay. So at that time, there was a lot of turmoil in Spain, and a lot of people were immigrating to South America. One, because you could still speak Spanish, and at the time, it was one of the best social societies in the world. Okay. They had a bunch of programs, and that's where his family felt comfortable going. So, and my father grew up in Uruguay, ended up he went to Canada for a couple of years. That's where he began his professional life after a short career of playing professional soccer. That's where he started working at a restaurant, became a dishwasher. And one of the cool stories that my dad would ever tell us, I was a dishwasher and I wasn't really happy with it, but I knew that the only way for me to get out of being a dishwasher was to be the best dishwasher that they've ever seen. And as he says, I've seen my father do the dishes at home, so it's very hard for me to believe this. However, as he says, he became the best, slowly got promoted, and eventually he became manager. And that's a very quick spark notes, but it's one of the things that my brother, my sister, and I, what he says really puts everything into perspective. And it shows us the people that we are and who we come from. And yeah, so eventually my dad found his way over to Miami. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I feel bad for Miami in the 70s. With all that was going on, they also had to put up with a wild Litto Gomez. So he ends up in Miami, and he had a variety of jobs. He owned a liquor store, then slowly opened up a nightclub with my uncle, his brother.
Okay.
And at the said nightclub, that's when he really got exposed to a lot of like all the beauty that was Miami at the time. Right. So I
Okay.
found out recently, Nick, when I met you, I had just found this out. Celia Cruz and Miami Sound Machine, back in the
Yeah.
day when they were first starting, after hours, when the door of my father's club was locked, they would pull up and they would jam. And
Wow.
that's where they would party. And my father has a great relationship with all of them. Again, something he decided, and I'm a big music guy, right? I love Miami
Yeah.
Sound Machine. I listen to him a lot. This motherfucker decides not to tell me until I'm 24 years old. All right, cool, bro. Thanks. I could have had a cool childhood, no, sorry. But yeah, so my dad, he's done everything, right? Nightclub, liquor shop, pawn shop, and the name of the pawn shop was indeed, I shit you not, Tito's Cash.
Litto's Cash.
Yeah, so he had a tag on his car, on his old Volvo,
Yeah.
that had Tito's Cash front and center. So he went from that. He went into jewelry. He got robbed at gunpoint once, then opened up a new jewelry store, got robbed at gunpoint a second time. And again, another very powerful sentence from my father was that he recalls the feeling of being on the floor with his head down, blindfold on, hands on his head, and he knew there was a gun pointed right at his head. And he says in his head, he's a religious guy, but he's not very religious. He believes in a God. But
Yeah.
he says that day I told God that I'm ready, but if somehow I get spared, I will never touch a piece of jewelry again. And I will do things the right way. And yeah, so after that, thank God he was okay. And now to jump to my mother, who not many people know, but she's a very integral part of the company. She runs our distribution, and I have a lot of respect for the amount of work that she puts into it, really. And so she is a Cuban immigrant. She came over when she was 7 years old because, so through her side, I have a long line of Cuban revolutionaries. And Maximo Gomez, the liberator of Cuba, is actually a great, 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 great grandfather of myself.
Oh,
Um,
fascinating.
yeah, so there's a long thing, and she had to leave because the government was coming after her family. Lucky enough, my grandma had diplomatic status because her father was the ambassador in Scotland. So
Okay.
they were able, and she was born in Charleston. So that's how my mom was able to get out. And my
Okay.
mom, she worked at a clerk at Macy's, whatever the old name used to be forever. And again, very humble origins. And when they met, they kind of had this crazy idea. My mom was involved in a brand that was the original LFD Los Libertadores, the Liberators.
Okay.
And she asked my dad, so hey, this company's not doing well. You and I, it's going. And from then, crazy idea. My father loves to joke, but I know it's not a joke. He had no idea what was in a cigar until he got to the factory and literally called one open.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so that's when we began. This happened right as the boom was sitting. So in 1994, my parents end up in Santiago, a place that they didn't even know existed. Even
Yeah.
to this day, I go to Santiago. I'm like, wait, is this place real? Yes, it is real, for better or for worse. But beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, so Nick, I really don't know how to describe it except a crazy pipe dream. And they I guess what really helped them was their humble beginnings. And they never wanted, always their intention, and even to this day, was we're going to make the best quality product. We're not going to be a brand that makes a lot of cigars. We're not going to do that. And we're going to understand that, because at the time, there's very few people who actually supported us.
Yeah.
And to them, that one cent back in the day, to you before this, right before the boom, you would go to 20 guys. If one guy said, okay, can I have another sample? That was the win. That wasn't even them buying the cigar. That was a win. If they asked for another try of it. And to them, once the boom happens and all the shortages in tobacco, and people began sacrificing quality by just buying all the tobacco they could get and mass producing, because every shop needed cigars. Because when they were grown, they were over. Not over, but they had too many accounts and they couldn't make. And all the big brands. So for us, it was a blessing. But my parents we're not going to make more than 1 million cigars. Absolutely not, because we're going to screw it up. And all the people who were with us, if we lose their trust, that's it, because they're the reason why we have some shot of a light. And again, that's something we hold true to this day, and that's something that'll always be our mentality. We don't care about the number. We don't care about awards, accolades, whatever. As long as we can make the best cigar in terms of quality and taste, the people who, if this is for the people who sacrifice a lot, right? The guys who they look to at the end of the day, all they want is a cigar.
Yeah.
And they want their cigar. If you cannot make sure that moment is the same every time, and it fills them with joy and it brings a happiness of day that they're looking for, then you're not doing your job. And that's something I've been told. My brother's been told. We've been told since day one, since we began working. And that is something that will always, hopefully, if I have kids, and they come in as business, is going to be something that they're going to have tattooed on their arm, so they can stop being idiots and look at it and be like, okay, yeah, we're good. And yeah, so slowly through the years.
Not to interrupt, but that is an important point. And there is one question that I do want to ask, and it might, I don't mean it for it to come across as me being gotcha or shitty or anything like that. But, just to be fair, one of the things that I think, at least post-COVID, your company has kind of perhaps struggled with a little bit is product and getting some product out, and everything like that. Now, I know you guys did the rolling school because, obviously you lost a lot of rollers during COVID and everything. And so kind of, what are kind of, again, this is a rabbit hole I'm going down, but what are kind of some of the things that you guys are doing about, because I respect the fact that you don't want to put out a bad product, but on the flip side, you got to put out some product or something. Of
course.
And
100%.
So what are you guys working on that?
I don't take that offense at all.
Okay. Because again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm playing gotcha and like slamming your company, but but I do know
I was a rep for my promotion for 9 months. I've heard a lot worse. Do not worry.
All right.
So I've heard a lot worse. So yeah, and honestly, it's a great question, because not many people know what's going on. It's not that we don't make cigars because we're just scared. It's because no, we're actively trying. We're doing as much as we can on our end. And look, this year we are primed to have a great year on production, right? However, tobacco, we work in an industry, Nick, where there's so many variables that you don't even know exist until they screw you over.
Yeah.
Right. So this year, a big thing was all the Maduro wrapper we got. So the way we do our process is we do it all by hand. We don't add any oils or dyes. And it's literally just water and pressure, and you get the tobacco to darken and bruise up and release all the oils. And we bought this beautiful Sumatra that we use in most of the Maduros. And we were so excited. We bought more than we ever had. Guess what? It wasn't holding color.
Oh no.
And again, this goes back to our principle, right? That we're not going to sacrifice. We're not going to put a dye. We're not gonna experiment with things that we don't do because we don't like to do them. And because that it's kind of a sacrifice. If you can do things the right way, why do them the wrong way?
Yeah.
However, there is a bunch of exciting things, and this kind of transitions not just to us, but this is for the Dominican Republic in general, right? So earlier this year, my father, super happy about this. I know it's been not really, in a way, a dream of him. It's been a big involvement of his life in the industry. He was recently appointed the president of Pro Cigar. And one of the first things that he's enacting right now, as we speak, and it's going to be open, the government has improved to open up a trade school for cigar rollers.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
that's really, really cool.
And look, they have them all over, right? And they realized, my father, when he's looking at the finances, they were paying 10% of everything to the people in charge of trade schools. And my dad's like, wait, we're paying them 10%, but we don't have a roller school. Are you kidding me? We don't have anything to educate and that's the big thing. There's so many people in the Dominican, only so many in the Dominican Republic. And unless you start teaching the younger generation, they're going to go do something else that's quick money, you know? They're not really thinking, and they're not trying to like get into a skill if it's a lot more work than it has to be. So this way, I think they're doing 3 schools in between Santiago and Camporí. It's going to be 3 months of course load. And then after that, they'll be in a person of factories.
Which makes so much sense when you think about all the factories that are in the Dominican. And like I was saying, at least post COVID, there were quite a few worker shortages, and again, you guys came out with you guys did the rolling school of your own, and then came out with the rolling school, the graduation cigars, which for anybody who missed out on that, I was working, there was a shop in St. Louis that I was going by. And, he got them in, and, they were very affordable, and they were your quality tobacco. Maybe they were not perfect in terms of this and that and whatever, but they smoked really well. And it showed that you guys were making an effort to get some people going into the position to expand and get your product out there.
Of course, and the cool thing about the rolling school too was like the intention of those cigars in the initial batches, of course. So all these rollers ended up moving into regular production, and since obviously honed their skills because our cigars speak them for themselves. But we wanted to document their journey and kind of celebrate them, And the point was, all right, everybody has like bundle cigars, right? We don't really specify in bundles. We're going to do bundles. Let's do this. This is fucking badass. These people have worked their ass off. Let's do it.
And they're perfectly fine cigars. They're just essentially practice cigars for these new rollers, but they were perfectly fine, and they smoked well, and there was good tobacco. So why waste them?
Exactly. And that was kind of our goal, just going back to the principle of doing everything with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that was such a special project. And so look, the rolling school, although it was successful, there were challenges, right? And one of the things I love about the Dominican Republic, specifically cigar rollers, they kind of know their worth a little too much, right?
So you guys are teaching them, and somebody else is reaping the benefits of it.
So exactly, these guys, I love it because they act like they play in the MLB.
Yeah. Like
they quite literally think they're ball players. So that was a big problem we found, and that's why the distribution of look, if we're going to be the only ones doing it, and everyone's going to take, that's not going to work. Why don't we just make a giant school for everybody?
Yeah, yeah.
And it also helps us out because we only have such a limited space. And by the way, just going back to what are we doing? All of the tables set up for the rolling school are now fully operational tables. So
perfect.
It was like 20, 28 new tables. So 14 pairs.
Yeah.
Fully operational.
Fantastic. So now you guys then can expand your workforce and, produce more cigars. So fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry. Again, that was a rabbit hole I wanted to go down, but
no, it's a beautiful ride, dude. But I love holes.
Okay. Noted. Anyway, so let's go back to the company history. So your dad and your mom, they get this thing going, and it's in the cigar boom, but you're not just flooding the market. You're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 2000 on. I mean, post boom into the 2000s here.
Cool. So, all right, come 2000, we release our 2000 series. From the 2000 series, we saw the birth of the Ligero as well, right? So you have the 2000 series, you have the Ligero, and then slowly but surely we're kind of building up, right? And we're kind of right around that time was when my father. And this is the beauty of it, right? Like we all have such unique journeys as smokers. We begin, and then all of a sudden, what we loved last week, we don't like anymore. Or not that we don't like, but we want more.
Moved on
And
to
that's
something.
kind of what
Yeah.
happened. So LFD originally, we were pumping out mild cigars. And then my father was just, as he was smoking, he's kind of like, well, I need something else on the palate. I need a little pepper, I need a little spice. Why can't I make a strong cigar here? And in 1998, what helped us with this is 2000, 2 years, growing periods, fermenting. In 2008, we made the greatest investment that we could have ever made, and it was for farm in La Canela. So La Canela has an extremely unique microclimate. It rains on that farm probably twice a year.
Oh, wow.
Dry. And at least when we grow tobacco, right, it's kind of the same principle of growing wine. The tobacco has to struggle a little bit more. The roots have to go down deeper. And we do our due diligence, obviously, with trimming the leaves, cutting off any buds, anything, taking the flavor from the Viso, the Seco, and the Ligeros. And because of that, our tobacco was just full of flavor. It was full body. It wasn't anything you smoked in the DR. It's full body, but it was nuanced. It wasn't just right in your face.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tobacco that we grew, we were able to get a higher yield from Ligero. And that's kind of what birthed the Ligero series, stemming into the double Ligero. And now the funny part, right, is that when we're looking back at this right now, a Ligero to me isn't too strong. Ligero's more medium plus. Back in the day, that was one of the strongest cigars to ever be made in the American.
I was going to say, I can only imagine the response of the smokers when, after smoking, what they've been smoking all the way up to that point, and then all of a sudden you guys come along and drop that on them. It's like, that's got to be just a hell of a response.
It's like, wait a minute, what are we doing? This isn't the American Republic. And that was a really big thing, right? On the other side of it, when we're talking about production, so my father, him, and my mother, they're both extremely creative people, right? And one of the things that I attribute my father's success is that when somebody tells him no, he doesn't ever shut up. He asks why. And the beauty of his inexperience, we're talking about an industry where 1 out of 10 companies, or 9 out of 10 companies, come from generations. And there's knowledge of tobacco in the grow. My father, he didn't have that. So it gave him the ability to blindly question and try out. Right? So, for example, the process with the Maduros, that was a big one. Or at the farm, the way we hang our tobacco, we were one of the first to do it because he was like, wait a minute, again, or curing barns. Back in the day, it wasn't all the palm fronts. That was something that he realized, that in order to properly let the humidity out and let it dry up, was without too dry, was to do it palm fronds and not like wooden planks.
And
he kind of just went through the rabbit hole of him not knowing what he was doing, but testing everything out before he said no. So that also applied to the sizes we made, right? So back in the day, and it's like one of my favorite things to do when I rarely have an hour to spare I hop back in her. I'm in the office right now in Miami. Hop back into the cold room, and my parents have been setting aside 2 boxes for me and my sister of every release we've ever made. And dude, the sizes and formats that we used to come up with, I make zero sense. I know that whoever ran the rolling room at the time probably had a heart attack every 5 minutes because my father would be like, "Yeah, we're doing this now, okay." And that gave
But
birth to
then,
the chisel,
but then
the
I was
El
just about to
Chaco.
say that led to the
Yeah,
chisel, though. And that's
that
something
led
that,
to the
I mean,
chisel.
that is an LFD thing.
Yeah, I mean that's the only patented cigar ship trademark.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that with that, it wasn't just a gimmick, right? You smoke a chisel now. I like to say that some of the chisels are one of the best cigars in the world. And I think they each have their smoker. And again, the El Jaco, back in the day, I didn't know this. We used to make a size called the Paso. The Paso, it looks like a smaller ring gauge and illusion bowl.
Mm.
And again, something that nobody talks about, right? Then the Habano Perfecto. There's all these crazy shapes that he was just like, dude, let's just do it. Like this is
Yeah.
badass, and that really helped move us because one, not only are we doing something that's not really seen, but we're doing it in a way that works, and we're kind of saying like, look, like we're gonna have fun with this. Every project we do, we're gonna have fun with it. It's gonna be something cool. And again, it opens the doors for the industry for new smokers. Try out a new size that their grandfather is probably like, "What are you doing? This is a
Well,
joke. This is a gimmick."
yeah, because I mean, I'm thinking about this, and it's like, when you think about the average cigar company, I mean, they all put out the Toros, the Robustos, I mean, these days there's the Gordos, prior, maybe it was more Churchills, things of that nature. But, and then maybe you might get into some Bellicosos and Torpedoes and things of that nature. But like, it sounds like you guys are putting, or were at least, and to some degree now,
Yeah,
putting out more unique sizes and shapes to where it helps you guys, stand out on the shelf.
100%. It's great for us because the only person
Yeah.
we're competing against is ourselves.
Yeah.
And again, it could be taken with some people say it's a bad thing, some people say it's a great thing. For us, the mentality is always like we don't worry about anybody else. The person we gotta beat is ourselves. That's the beauty of it. And even now, Nick, we sell a bunch of cool sizes, but I look through our catalog now and I'm like, bro, if I see one more Toro, I'm gonna freak out. Why don't we have a Lonsdale on every freaking line? Like that's more my speed. I like to have fun with it. But yeah, no, so early 2000s, that was kind of the birth of the madman that I call my father. And, slowly through those years was when Cigar Aficionado started recognizing that flow. And in 2006 came a very important year for us because that was a year that way back in the day, we released a cigar still available today called the LFD Coronado.
Okay.
The Coronado that year, it got #2 on Cigar Aficionado. Why we took it as a #1? Well, the #1 cigar was a Cuban that you cannot buy in the States.
And I'm saying this, you're not saying this.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Let's go
rabbit
down
hole.
rabbit hole.
You're not
Rabbit
saying
hole.
this. I'm saying this. I think it's utter bullshit that a magazine published in the United States it does that because I there's a value to that top 25, and the value is
And let me
that
add to that real quick. That makes or breaks a brand.
well,
That 25 changes your life as a cigar manufacturer.
And that's what I'm getting at is that consumers, they may not read Cigar Aficionado all year long, but they seek out and they find that issue with that list, and they care and they look at that list, even if they're like shitting on CA the whole rest of the year. They find and they at least care about looking at that list and seeing what it is and trying that top cigar. And if and I feel like the magazine has a responsibility to both the consumer and the retailers of and the manufacturers working in the United States to make sure that if you're going to promote and name a cigar as the top, if you want to have a separate top 10 list of just Cubans, fine. But if you're going to do the top 25 and the number one cigar, make sure it's one that's available in the United States.
I mean, so I'm not going to get to, I respect it. And here's the thing. I do think, as much as I agree with a lot of what you're saying, I do think that it is important to highlight Cuban cigars, because Cuban cigars have made our industry, and it's good, especially for a market that's drought of them. It's good for them to kind of know, okay, if I'm going to go for a Cuban, and look, Cubans are this starting point for a lot of smokers.
Yeah.
So,
well, I get that, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be involved in the process. That's why I'm saying maybe a separate list of just Cubans,
exactly,
for whatever. But and you know
I
what?
agree with that wholeheartedly.
Perhaps one day the island of Cuba will be some free, and we can exchange freely with them. And at that point, the Cuban cigars can be listed amongst the Nicaraguan, the Honduran, the Dominican, and all the rest, and it's no big thing. But for right now, given the political reality as it is right now, I just feel like it's not
unfair.
It's not fair. Exactly, it's not fair. Yeah. So anyway, so yes, to your point, you got number one in 2006. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
that was a giant year for us, man. That was a giant year for us. And then right among the time, we also, and I'm sure you've heard of this cigar, we released the LG.
Yes.
The LG line, or Poodle that comes from a farm. So that was our 10th anniversary cigar, launched in 2004. So, you have the LGs, the response was beautiful. Again, that topped ourselves again. That became the strongest cigar blended in the Dia.
Yeah.
Because they used all our tobacco. And that was a great milestone for us, because that was the first time we used wrapper grown at our farm. And it was a learning curve, and it went well. We had it for a great amount of years. We took it off and bring it back. But yeah, so around that time was when kind of things started changing, and then Litto became who Litto is now. And it gave him a lot of freedom, to kind of, okay, I've not cemented, but I have a presence. Now I can have fun with it, be unapologetically myself as I've always been, and we could go from there.
Sounds good. And then going back to Cigar Aficionado, then eventually comes the Andalusian Bull, which was another
the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, it could also. Look, for some people, you could say it could be a great thing, but I think I understand where you're coming from with this.
Believe it or not, we used to not have a back order. Now the back order, I couldn't even count to that number. But no, all jokes aside, it was a beautiful thing. It was one of the very few times that I wasn't there to see it, but that I know of that, and my father broke down in tears, and my mother as well, because they've been on the journey the whole time together. And it was, when the news broke, of course, when things like this happen, no one's prepared for it, right?
Yeah.
So a little fun fact about me, I used to be a very competitive tennis player. It's all I did growing up, and it was a big part of my life. I was at tennis practice. My dad was in the office. My mom was working late in the office. My brother was driving from Uruguay to Argentina to do an event, hear this, to promote the Andalusian Bull.
Well,
it was the first time it entered Argentinian market, and he was driving through the camp. There was no cell service.
Yeah.
So, bro, the news gets out, and I'm at tennis practice. My phone rings 40 times. And I go and I'm answering as if somebody just got killed.
Well, I was going to say, when you see that many missed calls, it's like.
And they knew to never call me while I was at practice. So I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? My mom is she's a sweetheart, a saint. That woman, a curse word has never left her mouth. She goes, "Fuck, motherfucker, we got number one." Losing her mind. And I'm there at tennis practice. I start freaking out. And all the kids around me are like, "Oh, what's going on? We got number one." Their kids are like, "Okay." Nobody gives a
Yeah.
shit. But then and my
They just
brother
don't
gets
get it.
cell service again. My brother gets cell service on his drive. He gets a call from the owner of the shop. "What the fuck? What the bullshit, number one?" The guy had sold like 100 grand that day. It's never been done in Argentina.
Wow.
In Argentina, you know. And my dad went quiet. My dad never goes quiet. My dad went quiet. I called him, and that's when I heard he was still teary-eyed. And then he picked me up. This was one of the greatest conversations ever. He picked me up from tennis practice that weekend when he was home, and we're driving, and I hear him call the person who made the molds or the boxes. And my dad's like, "Hey, Mira, I need an order. And I need it like we were already in December. I need it by January."
Yeah.
My father goes, "I need 20,000 boxes." The guy's like, "Holy shit, of everything, right?" My dad's like, "No, Andalusian bulls." And the guy starts screaming at my motherfucker, I can't do that. Because the where you put the cigar, it's curved.
Yeah.
So there's an indent and the shape is weird. And so the guy's having a heart attack, and my dad just hangs up. He's like, "Oh, hopefully we got them." That was kind of it.
Well, I mean, at that point, what do you do? You know?
And the cool thing about the cigar, you know, and I guess it's just always floats back to our principles, and why we do what we do, you know. A lot of times, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, and I want to preface, making number one is one of the hardest things you could do. It really is, and you need to have a love for what you do, and you put a lot of sacrifice into it, a lot, and sometimes you don't plan for it. But a lot of times with, back to my point, a lot of times with number ones, it's kind of after that year, the sales kind of slow down just because there's always a new number one.
Yeah.
Right? I wish that was the case with the Andalusian.
But see, I almost think because of I'll just use the word rarity of it. It's one of those ones that maybe it has legs. It keeps going. And also, you know, I've smoked a handful of them over my years of cigar smoking, and it's a good cigar, which that helps too. I mean, it's not like, you know, sometimes you get one and you're like, why was this number one? You know, but this one, you smoke it and you're like, no, I get it. This is it's smooth, it's flavorful, it's elegant. It has some strength to it. It's just a well constructed cigar. I mean, there's so many good things you can say about the Andalusian Bull that it makes sense, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, I get it. I get why this one got the top spot. So that helps, you know.
Yeah, and again, I mean, just from the cigar, the coolest thing about it, when we release that shape, right? No one has ever seen that before, at least not in recent years.
Yeah.
I remember I was at the show that year, and a lot of people were like, I don't know. This is weird. Now they call me for 100 boxes a week, which we'll never ship in 2 years. But, you know, but like that was a cool thing. And then after that, you know, you have one, it's a great blend, right? It's a great cigar. Two is a shape. You're not going to have, especially with this, this is going to open up a rabbit hole. You know, the fact that you have all the transitions in the ring gauge. You start off small, not so small as we start smaller, you get a bit bigger, then you kind of curve down and you end up, I think it goes to like a 52, 54.
Okay.
Or maybe like a 48, like at the very like end of it, you know? You get different concentrations of the wrappers, of the binder, of the filler tobacco. And that's a big thing. You know, smokers nowadays, me myself, I'm not smoking a cigar for an hour and a half if it's going to taste the exact same the entire time.
Precisely.
You know, I don't want to like naturally, we get bored. I want to enjoy this. I want this to be exciting. And that's that cigar was I think all the cigars are like that to me personally, but that cigar was accentuated that principle.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And you with that size, what I get what you're saying. With that size, you were able to pack a lot of different transitions and flavor changes and whatnot within one cigar.
Yeah,
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 no,
and that I think that contributed to the success and why people still smoke it.
yeah, yeah.
It was certainly unique. Me personally, if we want to get into both, you ask me if what my opinion on it is. I think it's a great cigar, and I won't ever take that from it. But it's not my speed, it really isn't. Um,
Really?
that ring gauge, yeah, it's a longer smoke than I like.
Okay.
For me, the biggest size I'll go is the Solis that you're smoking.
I was gonna say. So what? This was longer than 6 inches. So like 6.5 by what? 50?
I think that's like a 52.
52.
It's almost
Okay.
like a Churchill.
Yeah.
It's closer to Churchill. And that to me is like the biggest cigar I'll smoke and truly enjoy. You know.
Yeah.
So what I'm smoking here, and Nick, congratulations! This is the first time I ever actually talked about it. This is a Solis. However, this is not your typical Solis. For
The one that
me,
you've got.
yeah. So
Okay.
this little project eh, we've been calling it the Long Day. I'll get to why it's called the Long Day in a little bit. But look, I like smaller ring gauges, and I'm in love with the shapes of old Cuba, man. Lonsdales, the Lanceros, the Petit Coronas, small ring gauge stuff, and I love from so my journey in cigars began with the Cameron Cabinet in number 3, which was a
Okay.
2000 series. It's a Petit Corona and a box press. That's a cigar that we try to pry out of my father's mouth, and we cannot do. So every time we release a new cigar and we try to tell him to smoke it, he'll light it up, put it down behind our backs, and put his number 3 in his mouth. That came from the 2000 series. That came from the 2000 series that we initially did. So that was the first cigar I smoked, and I pay everything to that cigar. It's still one of my favorites to this day. And I realized why I liked it so much is because it was a box press on a smaller gauge.
Yeah.
And so I kind of applied the same principle. I'm like, you know what? I love the Solis, but I can't smoke that all the time. Like I was a rep, I'm in and out. I need something kind of quicker. I need something easy that I don't have to relight all the time. Not that you have to with the Solis, but with a smaller ring gauge, you don't have to relight as much.
Yeah.
And came the Long Day, which is a Lonsdale and box press Solis. For all you listening, I know you're going to ask, when are you going to release this? We may not ever. We may. We're going to surprise you guys with it if we do. But this is kind of what I'm smoking now. How we got the Long Day, and God, I love the Dominican people so much. So Lonsdale over there, that isn't a real size. Like it's
Okay.
a size, but that name does not register, right? They don't call it a Lonsdale.
Okay.
The supervisor, the manager, I originally texted him to make the Solis in this format. He knew what it was. He knows the stuff. He knew. So he's a Lonsdale. And again, Lonsdale is something we've been doing lately because of the Andalusian Bull NFT, which is also in a Lonsdale. So
Which we'll get
he
to
had
that
it
in a
made.
little bit. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I know we'll get to it. I know it's always coming.
Yeah.
But that fucking cigar, bro.
Uh,
But that so whatever. I don't think much of it. He ships me a bunch of bundles, and a couple of weeks later, I was in. So my territory, for those who don't know what I was a rep, was the New England. So New England and New York, and I was hanging out at my great dear friend of me, my father, Kirk Kendall, his shop up in New Hampshire, Twin Smoke shop. There, I was there with him. I was my current rep under me, and Matthew Piccolo, who was training. He was with me, and a bunch of New England guys were there. And we're all smoking a Long Day. And the guy I'm training looks at me. He's like, "Bro, have you seen the bundle? Did you see what they wrote?" I was like, "No. Why?" He shows me these motherfuckers wrote Long Day
Oh, that's funny.
And when you think about it, it's because un long day, un los
Yeah.
day, un long day, and they spell long day right, which I was very impressed. So I sent it to my father, my brother, and the GM of the rolling room. I'm like, Gorio, now we kind of have to release this. We cannot. This is way too good. A long day.
Long
So
day.
that's where it came from, and it's a longer cigar, so it makes sense, you know.
Love it. Love it. So okay, so you just touched on the NFT. So let that was another big thing that happened.
Wait,
When
actually, can I interrupt you real quick? I want to ask how this is. I want to
yes,
hear your
yes.
thoughts, what you're picking up on.
So I'm about halfway through it. And the citrus notes that you mentioned earlier, they're there. They're prevalent and I do pick them up. What I have been very impressed with is this does not smoke like any other LFD that I've had. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have that intense strength. I mean, it's there's some strength to it, but it
Yeah,
doesn't have that. You know, sometimes when you get an LFD, it almost feels like you guys are playing a prank on the smoker of like, how strong can we make this, and they'll still come back to us, and that kind of thing.
yeah,
And obviously
that's
people do.
exactly what we're doing. Everything's a troll.
Dude, I've got a friend.
You heard it first here on Pulpit Cigar. Everything we make, we're just trying to fuck with everybody.
Dude, I'll tell you. So I told you this in at the New England Expo, is that I've got a friend, Terrence, last name is Strong, and we all call him Strong. And you know, his cigar is the Digger. He just smokes the hell out of the Digger. And he just that's only his cigar. And he delights in introducing that cigar to other cigar smokers in the lounge because he likes to watch them experience just how strong that cigar is. And it's like, dude,
That's fucked up.
it's like you're kind of a dick, Terrence. And he's just like,
That's fucked up.
whatever.
It's
But
real fucked up. That's
yeah,
fucked up.
and he likes doing it. And but anyway, that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at, is that it seems like a lot of LFD cigars are very, very strong. And then you smoke the Solis, and this is much more flavor forward. I would go so far as say that it's kind of an elegant smoke. There's a
Thank you.
very
Yeah.
elegant nature to it. Construction on it has been just out of this world. I mean, the draw on it has been perfect. Burn line is like razor tight. The ash holds really, really well. And I, for those of you who have been watching the video, if you notice, I've been retrohaling the hell out of this thing, and I
Yeah.
have not coughed up a lung. I am not great at that. That is not my forte. And but it's
Mine
but
either.
but it's a very smooth retro, and you get those flavor, those citrusy flavor components, as you push it through the nose, and it's a very good cigar. I'm very much enjoying the Solus.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Again, tying back to what I was saying earlier, like this for me was cool, because it let who I am
Mm-hmm.
speak, and that was it's so the Solus is actually the counterpart to Illinois, which was my brother's cigar, and in a way, although I hate to give him credit because whatever, but I have a lot of respect for him, one personally and professionally. He's changed La Flor's landscape completely. And for me, it felt right that for my first cigar, it would be like, all right, motherfucker, I'm going to make the better fucking cigar
I'm
now.
gonna do it.
Watch out. So it only felt right. But yeah, so that's where the name comes from and everything. And I think it did a great job in achieving one what I wanted, but also you have Little Knox, which is a lot deeper in flavor. It's rich, bit stronger, and then you have Solis, which is bright, adheres to the name. And again, all right, when you say citrus, can you narrow it down to orange? For me, I get orange on it all day, every day, and I love orange peel. It's like one of my
I,
favorite things ever.
I mean, you've mentioned it, so maybe it's in my head. Personally, I'm just gonna stick to citrus because I could not, prior
There
to
we
you
go.
mentioning
There we
orange,
go.
say that. So I don't want to be disingenuous, but But yeah, I mean, but it's such a very good, smooth cigar, and it's like it is very different than the other LFDs that I've smoked. So I'm really enjoying it. It's something unique.
Thank you. Yeah. That was the goal.
There you go.
God forbid God forbid my first cigar was like a triple Ligero. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But
You
yeah,
guys have
okay.
gone
So
you
back to
guys
the
have gone down
NFT,
the
right?
strong road.
No more. No, and if you look at everything we released in the past couple of years, I think we're in a beautiful spot with La Flor. And I think the bull may have kicked it off subconsciously. I think maybe our palate's changed again.
Yeah.
And we're kind of not fleeing away from the strong things. And again, all our cigars are flavor forward. We're not a brand that makes strong cigars just to make strong. But I think now we're kind of to the point like, let's make strong ass cigars in terms of the flavor. And let's let it really shine. Let's let the quality tobacco that we grow and we purchase from our partners really speak for themselves rather than just coughing up a lung every time we retro hell, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do something that's not just a challenge. Yeah.
Let's not kill anybody on the next cigar. How about that?
You
We're good
know,
with that, yay?
you got to
Yay,
keep the
nay.
customers. You don't want to keep dropping the customers. I mean, yeah. So no.
Speaking on speaking on when we released the figure though, I don't
yeah,
know if you remember, there was a challenge.
the digger.
Yes,
The check.
people made it into a challenge to see who could smoke it the fastest.
That's not a good idea.
We're like, no,
No,
we're not
don't
paying
do
for the
that.
medical bills on the side. We're not liable. Here's the
We're
NDA,
not-
here's the whatever. We're not liable. It was a riot, Nick. But okay, back to the NFT, the project
yeah,
of the absolute century, apparently. So I forget who the first guy to launch an NFT was, but the one who was an artist, and he kind of started it all. My brother heard of him on because my brother's huge on the crypto and all that stuff. And my brother was
yeah,
like, "Wait, something here." And at the time, that again, this it came from the same way that this came. My brother's like, "I love the blend of the bull, but I need it in a format that I enjoy."
yeah,
And again, I want to say that's the beauty of our style of company, how it lacks any corporate elements, and we're free to do whatever, and whatever we do for fun ends up turning into something beautiful.
yeah,
And that's one of the coolest things. That's why I can never imagine LFD being something that it is not already, because that freedom to just have fun with it is what makes us us. And so that's where it began. And he started handing it out just to like his friends, his old accounts, because he used to be a rep as well. And people were like, dude, this is a joke, right? Like, this is fucking ridiculous. And he used to be on Bandit. So people, before even knowing its relationship to the bull, they were like, holy shit, what is this, dude? Yeah, it's
yeah,
a baby bull. And I'll never forget. So way back in a previous life, I was in a fraternity and I was the social chair at that time. And I'm setting up this giant party and I am stressed to roof. And I heard of NFTs. I'm like, this is just for some idiot in my generation to lose a bunch of money. So my brother calls me and he's like, bro, have you heard of NFTs? I'm like, all right, bro. I literally told him, I'm like, yo, I love you. I'm hanging up the fucking phone. I ain't having this conversation with you right now. And then whatever, calls me over the weekend. He said, dude, like because I had smoked the Lonsdale Bull. It's like, dude, this could be something. And I started thinking about, I'm like, yeah. And to his credit, he spearheaded it. I don't want to take any other credit from it and say I paid a role. I hit it. I just offered advice when needed. And he spearheaded it and he worked on it for a year. And then when we launched it, look, when we sat down, we talked about the challenges, right? NFT, at least in our industry, Nick, and you get it. It's such at the time, it was such a foreign concept.
yeah,
How are we going to explain to our customers what this is and how this ties into a cigar? So NFT was always going to be, all right, we're going to do an NFT, but it needs to have a tangible product that is worth it.
yes. That's
That
always been
is
my
well
problem with
worth
the
it.
NFT is that it's like you're paying all this money for a computer file, and you're the only one that has that and whatever. And but yet you can
You're the
easily
only
just
one who has it until somebody screenshots it and sends it to the world. Yeah, right.
bingo. Exactly. It's like,
Genius idea.
yeah.
Whatever. But so we knew that was the route. We knew that we were a tangible product, and Tony was like, "We got to release this. This is the way to do it because the public needs to have this cigar. I don't need to, but we'd like them to have it. But it needs to be done special. We can't just open up a whole can of worms and offer this to everybody. But we can't do that in a way that's unfair. We can't just pick and choose and get random price points. So we launched the NFT. We did an auction, and we were sitting there first. We had a launch party. Each auction was 24 or 48 hours long for each NFT. There's 7 NFTs, and we're
Yeah.
there 3 hours. It's only at like 33,000, and like we were hoping to hit like 50 at the best. So we're like, all right, you know what? We tried. This is still good. This is sick. This is gonna be cool. Wake up the next morning, $89,000. You're kidding me. This is, and we're like, wait a minute, this maybe we shouldn't do this. Is it too late? We're freaking out. So we call Eureka and tell them to cancel the NFT. And yeah, we released it, and all of them were purchased, and they're getting sold for a market value of $200 a pop.
But
And
see,
I'm not saying, yep.
to me, so going back to what we were talking about with the Andalusian Bull, the fact that there was this demand for that cigar that continues to this day, and that it's one of those things where perhaps the, like I said, the rarity of it kind of helps keep the legs underneath it, and keeps it going, along with the fact that it's a good cigar. We don't need to belabor that, but I want to point that out. Perhaps that scarcity, and then the fact that the NFT cigar was a variation on the Bull. I mean, you guys had to figure there. I mean, maybe not, but I would have thought that you'd have figured that there'd be a demand for it, given the fact that there was this demand for the OG original Bull.
Yeah, I mean, we knew there was a demand for it. We knew it needed to be done, but just okay. This is, I mean, it's expensive, man.
Yeah.
And for a cigar, a Lonsdale's are very niche.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, when we're thinking about okay, we got to take that into consideration. We can't like what we retail for. I think the NFT owners buy it, and we're completely separate, right? They buy it from us for I think like $14 a stick or something, at wholesale. And that's what they buy it from us, and we thought that was very fair. And we used obviously the Bull attributed to that.
For sure.
But yeah, but again, for us, it was cool, right? Because now we see this trend of the $100 cigar, $200 cigar. Going back, kind of touching base on what I said earlier, our cigars, if you look at our product line, you look at our prices, we want a cigar for everybody. We don't want to box people out. Cigars really are such a meaningful thing for some people.
Because as you just pointed out, even the Bull is affordable as a celebratory cigar.
Or it's supposed to be retailed at $18.
Yeah, okay. So,
that for us is
an affordable celebratory cigar. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't believe again, there's a trend for it, I believe, and we don't it's not really in our DNA to go and price something at 100 just because we want to price it at 100.
Yeah.
And the beauty of the NFT, it adds that demographic because there's people who exclusively buy cigars like that. It adds people, it shows those people that LFD is an option. But with us, it's not that we're pricing it that's what the market's going for.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. It was cool for us because we entered that space, but at the same time, we did not sacrifice our values.
Interesting. So let's now talk a little bit about just the LFD line in general. So, let's just kind of go over the cigars that you guys offer, and so that, my listeners with their varying cigar tastes and everything kind of can understand and learn, what all you guys have to offer and maybe some of the things that they should be looking for.
100%. So we have a variety of cigars. Sometimes I think we have too many cigars. However, we have again principality, right? That's something I know. I drown people, I bore people to death, but we literally make a cigar for everybody. And when we make a cigar, we make it based off our palate. Like we don't do it to hit a number. We don't do it to, oh, this is what we think they're gonna like, so we're gonna do it. We're like, oh my God, this is good.
Yeah.
Let's fucking release it. And we experiment because we have such access to every tobacco ever, you know? And that's kind of the principle. And so I'll start off with the core line stuff, which it gets kind of lost in the talks because when you're a brand who has a cigar like the Bull, sometimes some products get left. And all the cigars, look, my top five, all of them are in regular production except for the Solis and the 38th anniversary. Right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna start off with one of my favorite cigars. It's a little too mild for my taste, but I appreciate it. It's called the LFD Suave. The LFD Suave was the first line we ever came out of. It was under the
Okay.
premium line way back in 1994. We have not touched the blend. It's a Connecticut shade wrapper on top of Criollo Piloto, Habano 206, 98 and 99 that we use from our farm. But
So if,
we use lower primings to keep it at a more mild smoke.
so if someone wants to try out the cigar that, LFD, or at least the company that became LFD, originally came to market with, the Suave is what you're saying we should go for.
Yeah. The Suave, and it's not for everybody, but it's something, again, holding true to ourselves. That's a line that, like, we started with, and we will never discontinue it. We will never discontinue a cigar that holds a special place. And there's a variety of sizes. All of them are the original sizes that we used to do. And two of the sizes are Maduros as well. It's the Suave Gran Maduro number 5 and number 6. The number 6 is a torpedo. Both of them are box press. And I think that cigar is very special because it's a Connecticut, but it's a Maduro. So there's this
Okay.
nice interplay in between kind of more mild tobacco, but with the richness of a Maduro, especially an LFD Maduro.
Okay.
So it's for me, it's not like my typical smoke, it's not something I always smoke, but when I smoke it, I enjoy it and I really pay attention.
Okay.
So that's Suave. After that, and I'm gonna go up by strength, kind of the Reserva Especial, another line that we released in 2000 and we rebranded and we brought back. It is for our true medium smokers. This is kind of what when you look like. I often compare. I'm like, this is a Cuban that actually has flavor.
Okay.
Right? So like,
Yeah,
it's a medium cigar.
something other than floral is what you're saying.
Yeah, floral is a crazy term. Floral is great until it's used to describe breathing in air. But sorry, I'm going on my rants. God damn it, Lito.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Everyone's gonna be like, dude, this kid's insane. CA may not like me. But so yeah, in terms of the Reserva Social, it's just beautifully just medium body smoke with a lot of flavor. Super nutty. Carries on the elegance that we have in the Solis as well, right? It's supposed to be an elegant smoke. It has an Ecuadorian Coro, the lower primings of the same leaf that we use in the Bull, right? On top of Dominican filler and binders from our farm.
Sounds
So,
good.
yeah. So, and in that line, have you ever had an El Jaco?
I don't believe I have.
All right, so the El Jaco is a size that, I think we created it. I don't want to go out of line, but I think it was a size, the El Jaco Perfecto.
Okay.
It's like a baby Habano Perfecto kind of. And the Maduro is my third favorite cigar we make.
Okay.
It is absolutely lights out. Nice interplay, just the super and nutty flavor. Then you tie a Maduro wrapper on it, gets nice and rich. It's not over the top. It's a cigar for everybody, you know. But that whole line is kind of applies the same principles. The 1994 was her 20th anniversary cigar.
Okay.
Hence the name 1994. 1994 is a really cool project because it was one of the first ones that we decided to use San Andreas wrapper. We used a Mexican San Andreas, and that cigar, yeah, that's my second favorite cigar we make. It's kind of medium plus in my mind, not too strong, but super nutty cigar. A little rich, but clean off the palate, you know. And that I probably smoke like 2 to 3 a week. If I'm not smoking a Solis, I'm probably smoking that.
Okay.
And yeah, so the 1994 variety size is great blend. On top of Dominican filler binder, of course. I think in that we use specifically Corojo 99 and Corojo 98.
Okay.
All right. So then we have the Ligero, the double Ligero. No introductions needed. The DL7 Maduro is I think it comes straight from hell. I think that was one of like when Aiden wanted to enter the cigar game. So yeah, let's make the DL700 Maduro. Let's kill some people. But no, again, those cigars are unapologetically us and healthy. And they broke history and they continue to do so. And I just want to point out, all of our blends, we rarely change them unless we have to. And we strive to make sure that from the first point that somebody smokes a cigar, it smokes the same 5, 10, 15 years later. And that's something that always be important. So among the lines, so many lines. Cameroon cabinet, Cameroon wrapper, grown by the greatest Cameroon growers in the world, Amir Fells, of course. It's a variety of sizes. The cigar I first smoked is in that line, the 2000 series number 3, Cameroon cabinet number 3. That's Litto's favorite cigar, so I highly recommend you guys try it. And when I say favorite, I'm so a little bummy. I run distribution for the US, right? So I see the numbers and everything.
Yeah.
We make that cigar just for Litto. I'm convinced. I am convinced. And I say that because it's a backordered product too, but we never ship them. we ship them to my parents' house in Cornell. So that's the Cameroon cabinet number 3. And it truly is a really special cigar. There's nothing better than waking up with a coffee and having that cigar. It'll get you going. Whatever troubles you may have, you'll forget about it. It's fucking ridiculous. And then, yeah, so then we kind of jump into our limited productions, right? Andalusian Bull. I'm done talking about it. Sorry, Nick.
That's Solis,
all right. It's all right. Chapter 2. Are you familiar with them?
With which one?
The Chapter 1 and the Chapter 2?
No, I am on your website and I'm kind of scrolling as you're talking about these, kind of scrolling and through and seeing them. And no, I am not familiar with those two.
Yeah, so the Chapter 1 was actually my older brother's first cigar.
Okay.
That he actually, no, sorry about today. So my brother's first cigar, and this is, if anybody wants to know what it is to work with somebody named Litto Gomez Jr., brother's first cigar. So way back when we first got a factory, this was when there was a craze behind Candela wrappers.
Okay.
Right? By the way, we also make a Candela. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's a Candela. But it is the best Candela on the market. It's when you smoke it, it's not grassy. Has a lot of like very bright flavors, super citrusy. So if you like citrus, that's a good smoke. And it's honestly, when I first started getting the cigars, it was one of the first things I began really smoking onto.
Okay.
Beautiful cigar. But the creation of it, so my brother's like, hey, Dad, we got to do it for St. Patty's. Everybody has a candela, and everybody wants an LFD candela. We got to do it. So my father hates candela, hates it, refuses to ever go near it. Dude, like, has been trying to axe it forever, but we sell a lot of them, believe it or not. Trying to axe it forever. And my brother's like, okay, he may be right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to send the press release, tell everybody it's his idea. So that way, if people hate it, I can blame this motherfucker and I'll be fine. And I'm still a genius. So he releases it. People love it. A week later, this guy's on a podcast. He's like, yeah, you know what? I told everybody it was on Antonio's idea, but no, I blended it. It's my thing, okay? That was me. So this motherfucker is just like letting on Tony. So joke, that's Tony's first. Back to chapter 1. Chapter 1 and chapter 2 were Tony's first 2 babies, and those are full body machines. Super rich, super complex. Chapter 1 and chapter 2, hence the name. It was the beginning of the journey. My brother's a giant writer. He went to school for writing. So it only made sense. Chapter 1, chapter 2. A funny story about the chapter 2. Right before we were releasing it, we forgot to check trademarks. And this is the week before the show. And we get a letter that chapter 2 is taken up. So we had everything printed on the boxes, everything. So we got a bunch of rings last minute with a week somehow. Thank you to our suppliers at Cigar Rings. You guys are lifesavers. Sponsored, not sponsored. Ad. But the day before we fly to the show, we're there changing all the rings from chapter 1 to we just use Spanish, or chapter 2 to Spanish. Capítulo 2. So we're there changing the bands.
Oh my gosh.
A couple thousand cigars. I look at my brother because he called me and said, hey, motherfucker, you want to be part of the business? Like, yeah, all right, come change bands with me. So we're there until like 5 a.m. I look at him, I'm like, I hate you. In every way of the word. So yeah, that's like Capítulo 2.
So what you're saying is since then, every time you've come out with a new cigar, you've done a quick copyright check to make sure that
you would think so, but absolutely not. You would hope so, but we never learned a lesson at all, ever. Dude, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I got some stuff to look up for next year.
There you go. Just do a little quick Google search.
There's a database somewhere.
Oh,
hopefully. So yeah, that's chapter 1, chapter 2, full body machines, but again, flavor forward. It's a box press chisel, 58 ring gauge. If you like big ring gauges, but I like to play around. The beautiful thing with the chisels, by the way, is that you could essentially turn it into whatever the ring gauge you like. Right? Like for me, I kind of like flipping it and opening up a little bit so it kind of turns. If I'm smoking a 54 and I bite down on the sides, I kind of get it to like a 50 or a 48 size. And it's perfect. You're smoking a bigger cigar, but on the mouthfeel, it's something smaller, right? And as it comes in, that cigar is so cool. The way that the smoke just shoots into your mouth.
Yeah.
And another trick for the chisel, for all my aficionados out there, if you get a hole puncher, so by the way, people like cutting the chisel. For me, the reason we made it so that you can just squeeze the cap and it pops right off. Right? So squeeze the cap. That's one way to smoke it. The other way is you get a hole punch and you punch halfway through on one side. You leave the cap on and you smoke it. Nick, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of it, but the principle of it was really cool, right? Because it's cold smoke. You're getting cold smoke straight to the palate. I don't know how that's a Litto Sr. question. I don't get it. But it's straight cold smoke to the top of your palate, and it's such a unique smoking experience. And I'm not saying you got to do it and love it, but try it out because it's going to change the way you view construction. And again, really, really cool thing. And with the chapter, especially with chapter 1 and chapter 2, because they're so full body, having that cold smoke really kind of, for the guys who aren't over full body, kind of
takes it down
it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not overheating, it's great. But yeah, so then we go into the 25th anniversary of Left Note. And this was released in 2019. And not many people know this, and I may regret this later, but it's the same exact blend as the Andalusian Bull. You heard it here.
Oh.
Same blend, except it has more Ligero wrapper and higher primings all around.
Okay.
Not wrapper,
okay.
sorry. The binder and the fillers, it's mostly Ligero. That's a cigar I actually enjoy quite frequently. It's same principles of the Bull, but you have a nice little spice, a little more of a kick. It's not giant full. I would say if you put the Bull at like a 7, it's probably an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good for people to know if they can't find a Bull. Look for the 25th anniversary.
I'll smoke that 10 times out of 10 times over the Bull. I love that cigar. I love that cigar. But
all right.
In terms of lines, I'm kind of, there's a million more, Nick, but I'm
that's fine. That's fine. We've covered quite a few, and for those people who are interested in learning more, obviously, they can visit your website and learn, because that's what I've got scrolling over here. I mean, you guys have all the.
You can check out the website, check our catalog, and I'm gonna help out your sponsor and my guy over here. Dave Garofalo carries most of the products we make.
There you go.
Over 2 guys. He's going to help you out. Also, if you ever get the pleasure of meeting Dave, he's an absolute encyclopedia. You think I know what I'm talking about? Put me next to him. That'd be really valuable.
Well, and I thought
guy's a genius, man.
And speaking of Dave for a moment, how cool was it at the New England Cigar Expo to see Flor Dominicana inducted into the Cigar Hall of Fame?
So that was so it was an extremely special moment, right? For a multitude of reasons. One, so there's other Hall of Fames, and Litto's been inducted before. He's on CAs, and it was very cool to see it from Garofalo, right? Because Garofalo is somebody in the industry who, whatever anybody could say about the guy, he has put in the work and he's built something so special. And that guy knows tobacco. That guy knows the stories. He knows absolutely everything. And the cool part too was I was the rep in New England. I was the rep, and it's cool for me because I've known Dave my whole life, and he's helped us out. He was one of the first people to really get behind that floor, and he made us.
I think he said he's customer number 3. I think that's what he. I think he tells the story that he's like customer number 3 with you guys.
He's up there. That's an old story, but he's up there for sure. And Dave, like, for me, it was such a cool thing because, like, I was able to help service and rep somebody who's changed my life, who's played a big role in everything I do. And to see my father with somebody, like, they have a great relationship. So to see my father accept it from Mr. Garofalo in New Hampshire. By the way, fun fact, when LFD first started up, or hub for distribution, not hub, but where we really began making our bread, like selling cigars, was New Hampshire.
Very cool.
It was the Northeast, it was New England. So to see that this full circle, and the Cigar Hall of Fame that Garofalo does, it's its own entity. It was special, man, and I loved it, and I got a little teary-eyed on. It's because a lot of work that I've done on my end, and a lot of work that, and we've all come together, and just to see Litto be accepted at that from Garofalo was cool. And the person who presented my father actually happens to be a mentor of myself, super good friend of mine. Well, one, he's an icon in the industry, Christian Earl.
Yeah.
Christian Earl is one. one of the greatest minds in cigars. I put him right up there on my father. And he has been nothing but awesome with me. And way back in the day, this project, Nick, oh my God, was so ahead of its time. They released together Camacho and La Flor. They released the face-off cigar.
Okay.
So Litto blended a Camacho for Christian. This was done in like 2008.
Yeah.
Christian blended an LFD with his tobaccos or ors, whatever it was, for LFD.
Okay.
And there's this long history. Our families are very intertwined. You know, we're all very good friends. And in the speech, Christian goes, I knocked this out once, I'll knock it again. And on a third time, I'll knock it another time. And I want to congratulate my boy Litto. I'm still the best ever. I was like, yes, Christian, go. This is classic Christian, you know, it's him being him, and I loved it. And it was really cool, and I think it was very symbolic that, you know, Christian was representing, Garofalo was there, and we had, you know, the inaugural class was great. You had Nick Perdomo, who pioneered his life in Nicaragua, and Perdomo has done. I mean, I don't gotta say it. Perdomo's Perdomo.
Yeah.
You know, and I tip my hat off to them, you know, because we're the only two brands that popped out in that year and are here today and are kicking ass today. It's
and that counts for a lot, man.
Yeah, you know, and it wasn't easy. At least in the DR, there were over 1,000 new factories that popped up when we popped up. We're the only one who's there still.
Wow.
The only one from that time period is still there. And it was even worse for Nicaragua.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And then Rocky was also there. And I don't think I got to talk about Rocky. Rocky he's a genius in what he does. And he's a workhorse for anybody who takes credit away from any of these guys. I'll tell you, they all work their ass off. Rocky's on the road more than most reps. Let's just put it that way. From what I've seen of reps, Rocky's on the road more than most reps. So that inaugural class, being where it was, everything tied into everything was so special, man. And it's cool because I met you.
No, exactly. It worked out well.
You see, now, screw the Hall of Fame. The best part was meeting Nick.
Now, my question: Were you guys bidding on the painting? Because I would think it would be very difficult to not want to bid on the painting to put it in your office.
We did not get bid. However, a painting like that will end up in our office very soon.
Okay. All right. Because
it
was really cool.
It was beautiful. And Litto wanted to bid on it, but he's like, I can't do that. And I'm like, why? And again, Litto being Litto is like, somebody wants it, I'm not going to take it away from them. If anything, I will talk to the guy after, but like, this is just special for me. I got to see this, you know. And he went, when he got auctioned, he was, I give him a lot of credit, man. He's fucking beyond humble for the man he's become. At least to the public. At home, it's a different story. But no, so yeah, even to this day, things like that, he gets tears in his eyes. You know,
you gotta have a little ego to be able to survive in business for 30 years and you know, to be, I mean, you gotta know your worth at that point. You can't be humble and survive for 30 years. So, you know, I mean, not criticizing. I'm just saying it's like, it worked for him. Let's put it that way. It worked for him. Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, real quick, while I still have you, let's do this. We're gonna do a segment here real quick. I'm putting you on the spot, so we're gonna do a segment real quick.
There we go.
It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger
Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. All right, buddy. So this is the point in the show when I ask for what are you entertained by lately? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? Just give suggestions to the listeners about TV shows, movies, music, podcasts, books, whatever. What are you filling your spare time with, and what are you entertained by?
Okay. So, for the most part, spare time is a very foreign concept to me.
I get that.
Foreign time. What's spare time, Nick? Please inform me. But no, look, mostly like when I leave the office, and this isn't really entertaining, but for me, and my life is at the gym. I spend a good 2-3 hours at the gym every day, and I can't live life without it. So it's a big chunk of what I do. Obviously, I play tennis and stuff still every now and then. Picked up pickleball. God, I played for 10 minutes and I was the best player on the entire court. God damn, it's so easy. And yeah, by the way, I am a little cocky when it comes to tennis. But in terms of entertainment, so you probably heard this a lot. The fucking Penguin, dude.
I love that show.
Have you finished it?
Yeah, I finished it. Oh, yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. I kind of liked him for a little bit there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with the
I
Penguin
know.
on this one.
I know. It's like, man, at the end, but I think if anything, he kind of realized that, that having, these ties kind of held him back to some degree. And
it makes sense. And it's an origin story, It's a villain origin story. It makes sense. But dude, yeah, it was fire.
I know, but the whole show, I'm thinking to myself, okay, who's Victor gonna be? Like what's gonna happen with Victor? And then the way it goes down, I'm just like, fuck.
And I was thinking, I was like, wait, did the Penguin have a sidekick? I'm like, no, because I used to love that stuff, bro.
Yeah.
But I'm like, did he have a sidekick? I'm like, no, he didn't. And then what happens. You're like, damn it, they killed the only Latino on the show. Fuck.
Well, and then, then when you think about what happens with his mom, and for anybody who hasn't watched, it, we're kind of in spoilers territory for a moment here, but so whatever, you guys can skip ahead. But his mom made him promise, that don't let me be a vegetable, like let me, put me out of my misery. And then what's he do? She makes the confession in the theater.
I didn't even think about
everything.
That. Yeah, it's probably retribution for that.
And that's exactly it. It was 100% retribution. She made the confession in the theater after he told her, yeah, I'll put you out of your misery. I'll take care of you. She says what she says in that theater to him. And what's he do? He sets her up in the penthouse of that swanky building, looking out over Gotham, but she's a fucking vegetable.
He gave her promise, the original promise.
He gave her the penthouse, but he didn't put her out of her misery. So now she's a vegetable looking out over that, just having to live in that.
And that was special. But so Penguin was great. Gonna get into recently, 2 nights ago, I watched the episode of. Have you watched the movie Dune?
No, I haven't watched those yet. I was gonna wait to watch the first one when the second one came out, and then life got in the way and I got behind. But I did see there's a new show or something on HBO. So right?
I watched the show, and dude, first episode I saw it, I'm like, yep, this is Game of Thrones.
Oh, really? Okay.
It gives that energy. And I loved it for it. And I kind of like, dude, I kind of like sci-fi. Weirdly enough, I don't like reality things. But so that show for me is really cool because it's not overly sci-fi. Like I love Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
I watched every Clone Wars things. That was my bread and butter as a kid. I had every Lego, everything. So yeah, that whole the whole principles and the commonalities in it, I really liked it. And I think that's going to be a great show. I'm going to venture off here, and this is going to be the first time you ever hear this. I don't know your knowledge on the subject. First time your viewers ever hear about it. I may be a little ashamed to say this because not many people know this about me, but I love anime.
Okay. I don't know a ton about it.
Okay.
But I I know a little bit here and there, but I don't know a ton. But okay.
And I just want to preface some animes are very childish and all this shit, but there's a lot of great series, right? Like so in Naruto, that was my entry point, everyone's entry point.
Yeah.
That one's a little more childish, but the storylines are fucking ridiculous, dude. And that's why I like anime is so Japanese culture is so rich.
Yeah.
And things that we do, just like gestures, like, and this is an example. Gestures that we do in Japan are this giant thing, and like morality is completely different between our two cultures. So when you kind of tie that into like an anime where they have all these crazy plots, it's so deep. Don't get me wrong, the other animes are about nonsense,
Yeah.
but they're very deep and very exciting. And like, so the ones that I kind of watch, my favorite ones are Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a recent one, Demon Slayer, Naruto, always Hunter x Hunter, Attack on Titan.
Hmm.
Those kind of ones that for me are always in, you can't beat it. And One Piece, I recently caught up to One Piece after 3 years of 1,500 episodes. Um, but yeah, but like, no, I'm a big anime guy, and I kind of don't really hide it.
Yeah. Whatever.
It's fun. I
I've got
recommend
my.
it. I honestly recommend it, dude. I really do. And I learned a lot about just myself, like about life through watching some animes, believe it or not.
I have. Is it Crunchyroll?
Yes.
Is that so I've got a subscription to that purely for, and there's other things on there that have looked interesting, but I just how it is, how many hours in the day, you can only dedicate so much. But Lupin the Third, the old Lupin the Third cartoons or anime, I should say.
Okay.
Holy shit, man. It's an older one. I remember it came
Yeah.
out on Adult Swim at some point, and I watched it on there. This would have been 20 years ago that I guess it came out on
Okay.
Adult Swim, and it
The
was
only
older,
okay.
and it was older
The
then.
one have you watched Cowboy Bebop?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
So that's only like old timer one I watched, and that's badass. I loved it.
oh dude,
I
this is
watched it
old.
after I jumped into the world, but Cowboy
Yeah,
Bebop was the shit. My
this is old.
favorite.
This is older than Cowboy Bebop, but I'll tell you what. If you check out Lupin the Third, he's like this. He's this master thief, and he's got his little group of people that help him out. One's like this master, like expert marksman, and there's this beautiful woman, and then there's another guy that's like a samurai. But then they're chased by this one cop, and it's all the wacky adventures and shit. I like that
Yeah,
show a lot. So
yeah.
so
So
there
now
you go.
Cowboy Bebop, there's a line in there that I don't know if you remember it when he faces off against the assassin, the chick,
Mm-hmm.
the beautiful one. And he goes, this guy goes, he's like, I want you to beat the shit out of me. I want you to make me call you your pee piss piss boy. It's the funniest line ever to me. I don't know why. I still bring it up all the time. But yeah, so that's good. I guess we'll jump very because I know we're on time crunch, but
Yeah.
music. So and in terms of reading, I don't read much. I should. But the book that I read constantly throughout the year and I kind of go back is the 48 Laws of Power.
The 48 Laws of what?
Power?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Or Rules of Power. I always forget. I had
All
the
right.
audiobook, turn it up. That's
I'll have
something
to look.
that Christian Hero showed me. Yeah, and it's just about life and it's how to essentially end up getting what you want. How to stay
Okay.
motivated. It's a great book, and I always, every time I'm at a loss for words or some stuff, I kind of look back and refresh my mind on some chapters, and I really recommend it. But in terms of
You
music, yep.
I'll give you a book recommendation then real quick. So it's a very short read. I think I read it in like 2.5 hours. It's relatively thin, big type, and it's a smaller book. I love it though. It's called Creativity by John Cleese. He is he was part of Monty Python, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he wrote a short little book called Creativity. and it's all about how to harness and enhance your creative mindset and muscles. That, he's like, people say that, you're either born with creativity or you're not. And he goes, that's bullshit. He goes, you can totally train your brain to be creative. And he gives, his mindset about being creative, and it's really cool. So it's a short read.
Cool. Yeah, I'll keep that up.
Look that one up.
Yeah, beautiful. So lastly, music. Funny enough, I'm not professional, but I do it for home. I'm a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I have some hacks in my house, just spend it from time. I'm a little off the beaten path. I like OG house music. I like minimal deep tech. I listen to UKG, which stands for UK Garage. That's kind of my MO. Most of the times when you see me with headphones on, I'm like 4 hours in of Marco Corolla in live set. So that's kind of my thing. Growing up in Miami, which is a culture we have here, it's very it's kind of everywhere, especially with Club Space being down the aisle, which is, if you don't know, the hub for electronic, I guess, the umbrella electronic dance music. 24-hour liquor license. Place has cemented itself in one of the best clubs in the world. And so I'm thankful enough where I'm kind of in the scene. Like, I know a lot of cool people, and it's added a lot to my life. And that music for me is fucking ridiculous. Do you know anything what I'm saying, or is foreign?
So I'm familiar with the genres, but I am horrible about being able to say, oh, I like this specific song by this artists and song titles, they don't implant in my brain. But it's one of those things that when I hear a song, I'm like, oh, I really like that. That's where, what is it? SoundCloud? Is that the one where I can?
SoundCloud, yeah. I use SoundCloud.
I mean, or SoundHound. That's where that.
SoundHound. Okay.
That's where that app comes into play so much for me.
Yes,
I just hit that and I'm like, what is this? And then I
I auto Shazam. Every time I go out to the clubs to see somebody I like, my phone Shazamming all 12 hours that I'm in there, whatever that is. God forbid. It's been a while. I've been good lately. But in terms of in normal everyday music, dude, I gotta say, I love one of my favorite albums ever, Cameron, The Purple Haze. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not. No.
Rat. It was produced by Kanye West before Kanye became fucking nuts. Two, before Kanye began rapping. This is when he was producing. This is when he was in his prime. So that's a good one. I like old rap. I love 50 Cent. Tupac, obviously. But obviously not Sean Combs. Fuck Sean Combs.
Boy, that rabbit hole, man. That one goes deep, and that's all over the place.
You said after the prelim, we're going to top on another one and go down rabbit holes. Yeah, that's going to be topic number one, bro. We're going down Sean Combs shit. I live in Miami. He lives in Miami, dude. I could put you on, bro.
Oh, I bet.
That guy's a piece of shit, but whatever. But yeah, no, that's kind of it for my music. Oh, I love 80s.
I love what?
Summer, the 80s,
Oh yeah. See, I'm
Summer,
older than you, so yeah. I'm
hey, I'm lovely with you here.
Yeah, so no, that's the thing. I'm older than you, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, some of the stuff that yeah, I have a little bit more attachment to 80s and 90s and whatnot. So yeah, I get it.
I mean, but yeah, so Miami Sound Machine, obviously my really found connection with
your family connection, for God's sake.
Yeah, this motherfucker Litto, bro.
So I guess the real question is when are you converting the rolling floor to doing a pop-up nightclub at the rolling floor? You get that center stage, you could set up your DJ equipment.
If I start playing the music I like to play in the Dominican Republic, I don't think they'd be able to comprehend it, and it may not be good for the country. And we may have a bunch of clubbing Dominicans who just listen to a song with 2 changes in it, a
Okay.
vocal every 2 minutes, an 8 minute song. I don't know how that will go well with the Dominican economy or whatever.
Well, there's only one.
But yeah, no, that's a good idea. I
Only
have
one way to know.
DJ'd, I have DJ'd after hours in our warehouse here.
Yeah.
Just with a couple of buddies of mine, just for shits and gigs, because we don't want to play at our houses and wake everybody up. I had DJ'd here, and that was cool because this is a proper warehouse. So that was for sure a memorable moment. But yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's kind of good with my entertainment. Last one, I guess, podcast. Fucking Bert Kreischer, my guy, shouted us
Oh,
out on Joe Rogan a couple months ago. So love the Joe Rogan podcast. I love Theo Vaughn. I'm a Pats fan. Julian Edelman is him. So I love watching Names with Names, which is his podcast. It's really
yeah.
cool. He just had Steve Smith Sr. on. Really good episode. And yeah, bro, that's kind of it. I don't go too crazy on it. But
Very
again,
cool.
back to the point, what the fuck is spare time?
Yeah, valid. Well, speaking of which, I know that you are on a time crunch, and I really appreciate all the time you have given us today. Real quick, in terms of like socials, things of that nature, what do you, where can people follow you, find out more about LaFleur, that sort of thing?
Okay, so my Instagram is LFD Litto, Litto Jr. There next year is going to be a lot more posts on it. Again, you can follow LFD, which is LFD Cigars. And yeah, look, 2025 is going to be a really exciting year for us, just with the way we're kind of changing the direction of the company. And yeah, it's going to be badass. So keep your eyes on. There's going to be a lot of cool things coming. And yeah, Nick, you're the fucking man. Thank you for having me. Audience, thank you for listening to me ramble, because I tend to do that. At least somebody listens.
There you go.
There we go. My office is already fed up with me.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's how we like it, bro. They can't like you, no.
Exactly.
But yeah, guys, thank you. This has been phenomenal. Nick, I look forward to part 2 where we can talk about rabbit holes.
I was going to say, I've had a wonderful time. I want to have you back on so we can talk about more things, and by the way, Solis, I'm down to just a little bit here left. Fantastic cigar. So if anybody can get their hands on the Solis, do so. Highly recommend it. Litto, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, wonderful Christmas, and let's talk next year.
There we go.
Take it easy, buddy.
Folks.
Thank you. So we really want to thank Litto for taking time out of his day to sit and chat with me. I had a good time, and it was funny when we sat down. He said, hey man, I got like a 2-hour window here, and I'm like, I don't think we're gonna need all that. Just kind of, being polite and not wanting to take up all of his time. And I'll be damned if we didn't end up needing all of that, and probably could have kept going, but that's okay. So anyway, I really want to thank him for taking time out of his day, and I really did enjoy the Solis. It was a very, very good cigar, and for those of you who are wanting to smoke along with us or give it a try, I highly encourage it. It's not what you would when you think about La Flor Dominicana, it's not what you expect. It's very refined, and it's not just a strength bomb. So you're gonna really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and do this now. It's time to fly high with Blackbird Cigars. Blackbird Cigars offers you remarkable quality using the most delicate and finest tobacco to always ensure that you're receiving unsurpassed cigars. Blackbird Cigars strives to give you undoubted repeating flavor for every cigar you smoke and impressive quality so that you can always expect greatness. Check out their website for a full list of stores carrying Blackbird Cigars and give them a test flight. Blackbird Cigars, can't clip our wings. And today we're going to be talking about North Carolina police dog Bo. He's with the Gastonia Police Department, and he has won the prestigious American Humane Hero Dog Award. And alongside his handler, Sergeant Dave Rowland, the 18-month-old very good boy has rescued lives since starting his career in October of 2023, including locating both a missing elderly dementia patient and an 11-year-old child with autism. In January of this year, Bo used his keen sniffing abilities to track down robbery suspects, even amid heavy scent contamination. And he also located a 7-year-old child who'd been taken at knife point in May. Bo will be properly praised at the 14th Annual American Humane Hero Dog Awards and Gala in Palm Beach, Florida on January 8th. I wish I could be in Palm Beach, Florida on January 8th. My God. Alongside the other 4 honorary heroic canines. There are 5 categories. There's law enforcement and first responder dogs, service and guide or hearing dogs, therapy dogs, military dogs, and emerging hero and shelter dogs. I don't know what emerging hero and shelter dogs consider. I mean, shelter dogs I get, but anyway. So guys, be like Bo and Blackbird Cigars, and don't let anybody clip your wings. So, it's that time where we talk about the socials. I am available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. You can get in on the fun there. Twitter/X. I'm on YouTube for now. But I am on Rumble, so check me out on Rumble. There's more of you joining there every day, and I think that's great because let's be real, at some point or another, the ban hammer on the YouTube is going to come. So far, I'm still operating under the one warning. I haven't gotten any more, but I'm not changing anything. So needless to say, at some point they're going to figure it out. So once the AI crawls through the episode enough and is like, this guy's still saying twoguyscigars.com. But anyway, and then I am on Spotify video. So if you listen to me on Spotify, you can actually watch me on Spotify. And I think that's about it. That's about it for the socials at this time. So anyway, I had a wonderful conversation with Litto Gomez Jr. Once again, thank you, Litto, for taking time out of your day. And hopefully all of you guys learned a little something about Flor Dominicana. And with that, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. Everybody stay safe and stay smoky. Later on, guys.